All right, hello everybody. This is the Skeptical Skeptic back once again with another video. And a few days ago, something very interesting came in the mail. It was the Kid's Guide to Donald Trump, or as it says, President Trump, because he's still the president, apparently. And I don't know how this came in the mail. My parents are Republicans, but like they didn't order this. I mean, like, was it just getting sent out to random Republicans' houses for free? It's really weird, but here it is, the Kid's Guide to President Trump in all its glory. So, this book is from good old Mike Huckabee, and it's part of a series that includes such other classic titles as The Kid's Guide to Fighting Socialism, from socialismstinks.com, because Huckabee's mental age is apparently the same as his apparently his mental age is the same as that of the kids that he peddles these books to. But anyway, I thought I'd just it's too good of an opportunity to pass up, me going through the book and reading it for all of you. And just by the way, I have not actually read this yet, so this is going to be my first time reaction to reading The Kid's Guide to Trump. So yeah, I don't know, let's just get to it and read this sucker. Who knows, maybe it'll be great. I mean all right, first page. Did you know that Donald Trump hosted a top-rated television show before running for president? Yeah, I think it was his only profitable venture. Like, all his other business ventures were losing money, and The Apprentice was the only profitable thing he ever did. Did you know that many of President Trump's accomplishments made the country stronger? Really? That Donald Trump ran for office because he felt America was in trouble. Sure, not just for his own ego, or because he was still salty at President Obama roasting him at that correspondence dinner in 2011. That President Trump's experience as a negotiator helped him close crucial international peace deals. All right. Introduction to Donald J. Trump. When Donald J. Trump was elected the 45th president of the United States without winning the popular vote, he became only the fourth president with no prior political experience. Yes, that's always worked out so well. Really have no... Is that right? I mean, well, okay, so I think that, so I thought before that Donald Trump was the first president with no prior political experience, but I guess that's not totally correct, because, the presidents in the past who have not held office, they always, held a military position before. So Donald Trump is really the first one to not hold any public office or not hold any military positions. So, yeah, while that seems unusual, Trump was in excellent company. War heroes George Washington, Ulysses S. Grant, Dwight D. Eisenhower, and Zachary Taylor had come straight from the military. Yeah, like I said, straight from the military. So Donald Trump is the only one to not hold public office or, come from the military. While these men were great experts in military tactics, Donald Trump was an expert businessman with decades of experience leading huge companies. Yes, very corrupt and incompetent businessman. Great pick for the president of the United States. I mean, the idea, even if Donald Trump was actually a good businessman, why would that make him, a good president? The government is not supposed to be run like a business. It's not supposed to be run as, squeezing out the most profit possible. The government is supposed to take care of things that are not necessarily profitable. So why would you run it like a business? It makes no fucking sense. Anyway, make America great again. During his career, Trump saw American jobs going overseas and American businesses shut down by politicians he felt were not putting people first. Pretty sure, outsourcing continued under Donald Trump's presidency. But, anyway, he wanted to do something about it and design an entire presidential campaign about restoring America as a nation where the power to rule, again, belonged to the people, not career politicians. So why did he refuse to concede the election when the majority of the American people and, the Electoral College voted him out of office. They didn't want him there anymore. But he, like, refused to admit that he lost the election. Anyway, like our nation's founders, Donald Trump believes that all our important rights came from God and not from the government. Oh, yes, such a good Christian values man. Like, I mean, God, I can't stand this fucking religious pandering. It's so annoying. Trump called this theme "Make America Great Again," or MAGA for short. It was a bold action and a promise from Trump to return the power back to the American people. So why didn't he concede the election when the American people voted him out, huh? Like, anyway, Donald Trump's presidential campaign promises. Lower taxes. Taxes are paid by companies and people to the government. Donald Trump believed in less money for big government and more for the people. Okay, so, like, depending on what the government does, the government can use taxes to serve the needs of the people. Like, taxes pay for, like, the military, which is something that Donald Trump supposedly cares about. Taxes pay for, like, food stamps and Medicare and Medicaid, things that, help reduce, like, poverty and give people more opportunities. Like, cutting taxes does not automatically make things better for the American people. Furthermore, like, most of the benefits of Trump's tax bill went to, like, the top 1%. So this idea that, oh, he was, like, looking out for working families, it's complete bullshit. He was serving, like, the richest Americans and basically giving them what they wanted on a silver platter. I mean, like, gosh. Reduce corporate regulations. Oh, yes. Cut all the regulations. Wouldn't want any regulations on corrupt corporate industries that are, like, polluting the environment and stuff. Like, yes, so great. Regulations are rules that the government puts in place to control industries, because industries are focused on the profit motive, and when they put too much emphasis on that, that can, lead to some problems. But Trump knew from experience that too much regulation costs businesses and people more money. I mean, not necessarily. Like, a big part of why the financial crisis of 2008 happened was because of the deregulation of industries. And, like, a lot of people get fleeced out of their money. Like, the lower classes and the middle classes get fleeced out of their money from, like, big corporations and the wealthiest Americans because of a lack of regulation. So, I mean, like, it's ridiculous. Like, for example, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was created by Elizabeth Warren, like, it's returned, like, billions of dollars to defrauded Americans. Like, that's regulation. And it's returning money back to, American people who were defrauded. So, like, how is that it's fucking ridiculous. Like, these fucking conservative types with their, oh, like, all regulations are bad, like, all taxes are bad. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, you're an idiot. I mean, if you believe that. Like, it's like, stop illegal immigration. Immigration is when people come to live in a new country and work to become citizens who contribute to society. Illegal immigration allows for potentially dangerous people to enter a country and commit crimes like selling drugs. So, a better way to actually end the drug trade in the United States is to stop the drug war, which, sort of criminalizes a lot of criminalizes the use of drugs and leads to a black market, which, obviously creates a demand for black market drugs, which, increases drug crimes, which, if you wanted to actually do something to solve that, maybe not build a fucking wall and actually do something to mitigate the United States' drug policy. I mean, illegal immigration, yeah. Illegal immigrants can also take jobs from Americans while not paying taxes. With illegal immigration out of control, I mean, it was never out of control. I mean, like, it's not, like, not to say illegal immigration isn't a problem, but first of all, like, it wasn't, like, as big of a problem as Donald Trump and other people claim it was. It wasn't like, our economy was collapsing because of illegal immigration. In fact, illegal immigrants actually, contribute to the economy by, working for it. And, like, and again, like, the solutions that Donald Trump, proposed with just, like, building a big wall that, by the way, never actually got finished or really contributed much of anything. Like, all those tax dollars that were spent to, constructed were completely wasted because it amounted to absolutely fucking nothing. But like even this cartoonish plan of building this big wall, it wouldn't have actually worked to do what you wanted it to, because most illegal immigrants in the United States are here from overstaying their visas, which a big wall would not help to do anything about that. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. Oh my gosh. Anyway, with illegal immigration out of control, candidate Donald Trump proposed building a giant wall to make sure immigrants would obey the same laws as everybody else. Yes, because Donald Trump also has the same mental maturity as the kids that read this book. Yes, we need to build a wall. We just need to keep all the people out, and that will totally work. It will not be a completely giant waste of taxpayer money, even though, one of the things in here was to lower taxes. I guess that doesn't matter when, taxes are going to great things like building a wall instead of giving people healthcare or whatever. Improve military and trade agreements with other nations that were being unfair to America. Fight back against other countries that wanted to hurt America and not do their part to make the world better or safer. Stop radical Islamic terrorism, which was hurting America and many other countries throughout the world. Rebuild the strength of the American armed forces and support our troops. Rebuild the strength of the American armed forces? We already had the most powerful military. We spent more on our military than the next 10 largest militaries combined in the world. I don't really think our strength needed to be rebuilt. Arguably, we waste tons of money on the military that we don't actually use and could go to other things. I don't know. Support the democratic nation of Israel, one of our closest allies, also an apartheid state that, see, here's the thing. If Israel is our allies, then, we could use that and basically, try to actually, support human rights in Israel. Saying, okay, we'll be your allies, but we're not going to give you all this military aid if you keep up this apartheid regime in, oppressing the citizens of Palestine, which Israel is doing. That's a fact. But of course, this book is just going to ignore that and say, oh, Israel is so great, it never does anything wrong. Gosh. Anyway, unleash America's great national resources so that in strength, America could better protect itself and help others. So what he's talking about is fracking, probably, that thing that, is devastating to the environment and is a limited resource and causes fucking earthquakes. But, fracking's so great. It's, we need to unleash our nation's natural resources. Fight back against a culture of political correctness where people felt they could not express themselves freely. Oh, yes, Donald Trump was fighting back against political correctness by saying that people who burn the American flag should go to jail for at least a year, and that people should be fired if they kneel for the national anthem. Fighting back against political correctness. Such a great president. Anyway, all of these plans and others were designed around the idea that Americans' principles led the world towards freedom. Yes, we've been such an arbiter of freedom, planning all these coups around the world. And Mr. Trump believed that for far too long, the government and career politicians cared more about small groups of people and international agendas, and not enough about the majority of Americans. So that's true. I mean, maybe not the international agendas part, because I don't know. I mean, but here's the thing, that's kind of true. The government has sort of served the needs of, the richest Americans for, forever, basically. But, I mean, but Donald Trump was not, he's not any different. In fact, he's arguably worse, because he doesn't just, serve, the upper classes of, society. He's basically just all in, about himself. He's literally possibly the most egotistical and selfish man I have ever seen. He's just it's so ridiculous. And if you look because here's the thing, Donald Trump wasn't even good to his allies in his administration. He had one of the highest turnover rates, or maybe the highest turnover rate in presidential history, and he scorned basically every single one of his allies that didn't that wasn't the most sycophantic person that they could be. Literally, even an ounce of criticism towards Donald Trump to any one of his allies led him to disowning them. He's one of the most ridiculously egotistical men of all time. Like, but he's just looking out for everyone. He just wants to do his duty as a patriotic American. Bullshit. Who is President Donald Trump? Next page. Donald Trump was born in June 14, in Queens, New York. He had 4 siblings. Attended college at the University of Pennsylvania's highly respected Wharton School of Business. After he graduated in 1968, Trump joined his father's real estate development company and became the head of the company in 1974 with a small loan of $1 million. 1984, he wrote a very popular book about negotiating business deals called Art of the Deal. In it, he wrote, "I like thinking big. I always have. To me, it's simple. If you're going to be thinking anyway, you might as well think big." Sure. In 2004, he started a reality TV show like The Apprentice, called The Apprentice, in which contestants teamed up into corporations that competed for a job to work with him. The corporations had to take part in tasks that people in real corporations do. If they failed, they were famously told, "You're fired." Like, is this, I don't know, like, is this really that important for, a book about the president? Whatever. Anyway, the winner of each session earned a job working for Mr. Trump, despite never being a politician. In 2015, Donald Trump decided to run for president of the United States to use his business sense and experience to help the country. Donald Trump built many huge buildings in New York City, Atlantic City, and other locations around the world. He has numerous building projects, including hotels, country clubs, golf clubs, and the Mar-a-Lago Club in Palm Beach, Florida. All right, President Donald Trump's personality in office was distinctive and unlike most politicians. Yeah, you got that right. As a man who believes in the First Amendment, Trump shared his views without worrying about political correctness. Yes, a man who believes in the First Amendment, who believes this is a Christian nation, that people should go to jail for 1 year for burning the American flag, and that you should not be able to kneel during the national anthem. Very big First Amendment man. And by the way, like, I hate this view that has come about, like, that whenever someone says anything like that is like stupid or bigoted, they're just standing up against political correctness. Like, I'm no big fan of political correctness. I don't think that you need to have like perfectly correct or sanitized speech all the time. But like, here's the thing. Like, so often people use like political correctness as an excuse for why people are criticizing them, when like, in the end, it's if you're saying something totally ridiculous and stupid and false, or you're just being fucking bigoted. And it's like, sure, Donald Trump lies like 10 times a day, but he just doesn't care about political correctness, so we'll say whatever he wants. But like, at the same time, you should try to actually pay attention to what you're talking about and the effect that has on people. Like, I mean, President Trump knew that our nation was founded on the open exchange of ideas and that censorship was the enemy of democracy, which is why he said that you should go to jail for 1 year if you burn the American flag, because he loves free speech and freedom of expression and the open exchange of ideas. As president, he often used social media to speak directly to the American people and wasn't concerned with hurting people's feelings when he talked about his policies. He was especially aggressive about this because he believed that many writers and TV reporters wouldn't report on his ideas accurately. Yes, anyone who disagrees with him is fake news. Yes, anyone, it's just, that's literally what it was, by the way. Literally anyone who disagreed with him was fake news. He could never, throughout his entire presidency, throughout his entire fucking life, admit that he was wrong once, because he has this massive, incredibly fragile ego that, like, and again, everyone who disagrees with him, they're fake news, they're wrong, they're liars. Like, that's literally everything he peddled throughout his entire career and his entire presidential run. Like, it's just fucking ridiculous. Oh yes, they didn't like to hear it. According to most polls, the majority of Americans now agree with him, as trust for the media is at an all-time low. That doesn't necessarily mean that people who don't trust the media also trust him. Like, I mean, like, I agree that the media can be, not that great, but like, that doesn't mean I trust fucking Donald Trump. He's the least trustworthy person in the entire world. Anyway, continuing, the Trump family, Eric Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, Barron Trump, Ivanka Trump, Donald Trump Jr., and Tiffany Trump. So, why did Donald Trump decide to run for president? In his announcement to run for president, he said, "Our country is in serious trouble. We don't have victories anymore." He went on to speak about the problems with illegal immigrants breaking the law. And I don't believe like illegal immigrants break the law like disproportionately to average Americans. Like, I mean, and when you think about it, that makes a lot of sense because like if illegal immigrants break the law, they're way more liable to get sent back to their country of origin, so they're usually extra careful with not doing that. So, I mean, like, I don't know. About too many politicians sending our jobs overseas and hurting American workers. I don't, again, like I said before, I think outsourcing increased under Donald Trump's administration. So, great job on that. As president, Donald Trump was an outspoken critic of many American policies that he believed worked against the American people. He wanted to put the people first. Anyway, drain the swamp. While it might have seemed unusual that someone who was never a senator, governor, or mayor would run for president, that is what Donald Trump did. He believed that many of Americans' problems were the result of politicians who did not always put the country first because they had been in government for too long. These politicians were part of the group that Donald Trump referred to as the swamp. So Donald Trump he never drained the swamp. He, integrated himself into the swamp and rebranded it. Like, some of his administration were some of the most corrupt people ever. And, like, literally the only thing Donald Trump cared about, Donald Trump did not care about, decreasing the corruption and, decreasing the, corruption of the Senate. He just wanted, everyone, he just wanted control, basically, which is why, like, that literally the only litmus test for people that he hired, in positions of government were if they supported him. Like, talking about draining the swamp, like, he was one of, he was, like, totally guilty of nepotism. I mean, Donald Trump, like, appointed people in his family to positions that, like, they had no qualifications for. Rebranding the swamp, get the fuck out of here. Like, Donald Trump bathed in the swamp. Like, ridiculous. And as part of his campaign, he wanted to drain the swamp to remove these people from government and set new leaders to have their chance. Basically everyone who agreed with him was given these positions because that was the only litmus test for who he gave power. What is MAGA? MAGA stands for Make America Great Again. When was America ever that great? Like, Donald Trump can never seem to set a specific time period. What I'm guessing he refers to is the 1950s, where America was not so great for a lot of people. Basically everyone except for Christian white males. So, I mean, like, in my opinion, like, this slogan of Make America Great Again, it's bullshit. We should be trying to make America greater than it ever was. Like, we should be trying to move forward, not go back. Not stand still either, as a lot of liberal politicians want to do. Like, oh, everything's great right now. We just have to keep everything as it is. No, we should go forward. We shouldn't stay still. And we definitely shouldn't go backward. Like, I don't know. The MAGA acronym covered many of Mr. Trump's main ideas for the country. He felt that much of America left out and left behind by policies that only helped out small groups of people, foreign countries, and specific areas, namely the big cities and the coasts. Wait, what? Hold on. Wait, let me reread that. He felt that much of America had left out and felt left out and left behind by policies that only helped out small groups of people, foreign countries, and specific areas, namely the big cities and the coasts. So this bothers me so fucking much because, like, this is what conservatives and Trump do all the time. Like, they say, oh, like, politicians only care about the big cities and the coasts. But, like, here's the thing. Like, Like, I'm not saying that we should, like, just disregard people in the heartland of America and people who don't live in big cities and along the coast. Obviously, they need to have their needs taken into account too. But, like, the majority of people live on the coasts. The majority of people live in big cities. So what you're basically saying there is, like, oh, politicians are caring too much about the big cities and the coast. Well, that's where the majority of people live, asshole. You're basically saying, oh, like, basically, I want to disregard the majority, and because they're not real Americans. Like, but it's bullshit because most people live there. Most people live in those areas, so you can't just disregard them. Like, that's where the majority of people live. That's where the majority of America lives. Like, you asshole. What's wrong with you? And, like, oh my gosh. Anyway, as a businessman, Donald Trump saw how the loss of Americans' promise brought crime and decay to the cities, especially among lower income families. I mean, that is true, but he didn't really do anything to help them. I mean, like, the Again, the richest Americans were the ones who benefited most from the Trump administration. Anyway, he also saw career politicians who did little to help and instead allowed illegal immigrants to take American jobs. At the same time, these politicians sent American jobs and money out of America and away from American families. Trump's Make America Great Again platform included a group of proposals designed to return the United States to a position of strength and success for all. All right, let's continue this. I'm suffering from major allergies right now. I hate the fall and the spring. Anyway, 2016 primary election. When Donald Trump first announced that he was running for president of the United States, his first task was to secure the nomination of the Republican Party. To do that, he needed to compete against 7 other Republican candidates in a nationwide series of primaries and caucuses. His campaign was based on MAGA. Some of the things he said were considered controversial and politically incorrect. The media, consisting of writers, television news shows, and other commentators, were interested in the things he said, but many of them did not approve. Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, one of the big things is that the media, like, that Donald Trump constantly condemns as, like, fake news, were actually one of the biggest reasons that Donald Trump got elected. Like, they gave him so much attention, which he probably knew. Like, because they gave him so much attention because of all the ridiculous and outlandish things that he said, which was ironically one of the things that got him like tons of attention. So he really should be thanking the media for actually helping getting him elected in the first place, rather than like constantly condemning it as fake news. But anyway, some of them were nervous, but some of them were threatened, while others realized that Trump might be right. But Mr. Trump did not stop talking about his ideas, and the citizens of America learned about his proposals very quickly. President Donald Trump and Vice President Pence. Many of them liked what they heard. Mr. Trump's first victory was in the New Hampshire primary in February 9, 2016. Despite never serving an elected office, he won the primary elections in 37 states, beating 9 current or former governors and 5 current or former U.S. senators. Mr. Trump's nomination for president became official at the Republican National Convention in July in Cleveland, Ohio. There he was selected as Indiana Governor Mike Pence as his vice presidential running mate. Yes, Mike Pence, one of the biggest supporters of the trade deals that, outsourced American jobs and, great vice presidential pick. I see that, I can really see from your vice presidential pick, Mr. President, that you obviously were concerned about the many jobs that had been outsourced to foreign countries by picking a vice presidential candidate that was a big supporter of the trade policies that outsourced those jobs. I can see that you care and aren't just a grifter who cares about no one but yourself. Yes, very good, Mr. President. 2016 general election. Okay, so after Mr. Trump secured the Republican nomination for president, his opponent Hillary Clinton won the Democratic nomination. Ms. Clinton was the first lady of the United States when her husband Bill Clinton served. I know that. Following her husband's term, Ms. Clinton served as a United States Senator from New York and as Secretary of State under President Barack Obama. She also ran unsuccessfully for president in the 2008 against Obama. So, this is kind of hilarious. So, if she lost against Obama in the 2008 presidential campaign, then why would you support her for the primary in 2016? It doesn't really make much sense to me. Like, I don't know, but anyway. So Ms. Clinton was a strong and experienced opponent, having seen the public eye for decades. Wow, actually complimenting her? Didn't expect that, but anyway. She was also the first woman to ever earn the presidential nomination of the major party. Wow, they went 2 paragraphs about Hillary Clinton without insulting her. That is impressive. Anyway, I guess they wanted to tone it down for the kiddies, but anyway. Over the next few months, Mr. Trump and Ms. Clinton campaigned across America and faced each other in a series of 3 televised debates. Debates give the Americans a sense of the candidates' policies so they can make good decisions while voting. Leading up to the election day on November 8th, almost every expert in the media claimed that Hillary Clinton would win. At the end of the day, the results shocked the country as Mr. Trump was elected the 45th president. He received 306 electoral votes to win the election over Ms. Clinton, who received 238. Donald Trump still lost the popular vote, though, which he also contested, much like the 2020 election, where he said that, Hillary Clinton got 3 million illegal votes, which, again, not based on facts. It was based on the amount of votes that he lost the popular vote by, which, again, Donald Trump just makes shit up to service himself, which he does all the fucking time. So on January 2017, Mr. Trump was inaugurated, sworn in by President Trump. Man, the look on Obama's face when he had to give Donald Trump a tour of the White House. But hey, at least President Obama actually did that. Like, because Donald Trump was such a sore loser, he refused to give Joe Biden a tour of the White House when he won. So, anyway, 2016 electoral map. The Electoral College is made up of, I know this, the number of electors is determined by how many representatives each state has in the House of Representatives, which is based on population plus the number of senators. Each state has 2. The Electoral College was created to make sure votes in states with smaller populations have a say in the outcome of presidential elections. In order to win the presidency, the candidate must win 270 electoral votes, one more than half. So that's not entirely true. The system of the Electoral College was also kind of created because of slavery, and southern states wanted more representation, even though they had lower free populations than their actual populations, because the 3/5 compromise. People who know history should know about that. But anyway, I mean, the Electoral College is kind of bullshit in what its actual purpose is. Because think about this. Not only is it undemocratic by, not actually giving the presidential win to the person who wins the largest number of votes, which is how it should be, not only does it lead to things like the 2000 election, where, it's much easier to win by, a very small amount of votes that could easily be contested, which is a major problem. And, but here's the thing. The Electoral College doesn't even do what Republicans claim it does. Because, they say basically it was created to make sure voters in states with smaller populations have a say in the outcome of presidential elections. No, they don't. Because, states like Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, Utah, all these states with smaller populations, they don't have a say. They don't have a real say in who wins the election because they're deep red states. So it doesn't really matter how you vote in those states because they're all deep red anyway. People don't actually have real representation in terms of their presidential candidate. You can make an argument for senators and Congress people, maybe, but you can't make an argument for the presidency because most of those rural, low population states, they don't have a say in the outcome of the presidential election. When's the last time you saw someone campaign in Montana? When's the last time you saw someone campaign in North Dakota? They don't, because they're deep red states. No one goes to them because they already know the outcome of the presidential elections in those states. So it doesn't make any sense. They don't, the Electoral College does not provide their states representation. It doesn't do the thing that people claim it does. So it's a complete bullshit. But anyway, what did President Donald Trump achieve while in office? So when I was voting in the 2020 election, I actually researched the accomplishments of the candidates that were running, and I researched Donald Trump's record, and the absolute biggest thing that Donald Trump did while he was in office was cut regulations. So his biggest accomplishment was cutting tons and tons and tons of fucking regulations. He cut regulations on, for example, coal use and coal power plants, because as the president always says, we need to invest in clean coal, a thing that definitely exists. So basically Donald Trump's main thing was he cut a bunch of regulations, including financial regulations and environmental regulations, which is not a good thing. So his greatest accomplishment and the thing he did most often in office was terrible. So yeah, he certainly had accomplishments, all right. Doesn't mean they're good accomplishments. Cutting taxes mean that people can keep more of what they earn to spend it on things that they want. It's not your money. It's your money, not the government's. I mean, but again, most of the tax cuts went to the top 1% of the United States. So again, this idea that it was helping you out, no, it really didn't much. It was mostly going to the top 1% of United States. Anyway, what are taxes and why is it better when they are low? Taxes are money that the government collects to pay for things like the armed forces, police, and schools. Some things like these can only be paid for through taxes. However, before Donald Trump took office, taxes had been raised to pay for some things that politicians wanted, but not many Americans supported. Lowering taxes meant that Americans have more money to spend. All that spending means people buy more things, and companies need to hire more people to make those things. Those people that are hired then spend money on things. It's called a virtuous cycle, and it works only when taxes are lowered on people and companies. So that is completely wrong, and literally, professional economists, most of them don't agree with that. Again, this whole Reaganomics theory, it was called voodoo economics for a reason. It doesn't make any sense. When you lower taxes and cut government programs, that leads to people, that actually leads to there being a much larger gap of income inequality in the United States, which leads to, people in the lower classes not being able to spend as much, which leads to poorer economic health, which leads to actually a vicious cycle. See, if you want to create a virtuous cycle in a social democratic state, disregarding socialism, if you want to create a strong social democratic mixed market economy, you need to invest in things like healthcare, education, stuff like that, infrastructure. If you do that, then people will actually make more money and have more opportunities and spend more, which will lead to a more healthy economy that doesn't have the same types of boom and bust cycles that we've constantly seen that have gotten worse over time. That's a virtuous cycle. Cutting taxes and cutting all kinds of government programs does not create a virtuous cycle. It creates a vicious cycle. So Donald Trump is completely wrong in that aspect. So anyway, campaign ideas. Lower taxes. Outcome. Signed the Tax Cut and Jobs Act that lowered taxes for individuals and companies. Yes, most of the benefits went to the top 1%. So yeah, great job on that, Donald Trump. Reduce corporate regulations. Yes, reduce corporate regulations, because those corporations were so taken advantage of. And so, oh my gosh. Anyway, eliminated many regulations that kept companies from growing and hiring more people. Some regulations, are able to make sure that workers are protected. So, it's such a dishonest framing of, regulations. It's just oh, all regulations are bad, we need to cut them all. It's ridiculous. Stop illegal immigration. Began construction of a border wall between the U.S. and Mexico to ensure that people only entered legally and for legal reasons. Yes, pay attention to the wording. Began reconstruction of a border wall that was never finished and never actually did anything of value. It was a giant waste of taxpayer money. So, great job, Mr. President. You did it. You started doing it and never finished. And, maybe that's expected because people were being so unfair to him. I've been treated very unfairly. Anyway, improved trade agreements with other nations that were being unfair to America, ended or renegotiated several trade agreements that were hurting America. Yeah, I believe the renegotiations kind of kept things mostly the same as they were. Also, by the way, the whole trade war with China was disastrous. It brought a lot of really bad effects. But anyway, fight back against harmful countries, withdrew a deal from the terrorist nation of Iran because it was secretly trying to build a nuclear weapon. It was not trying to do that. There was no evidence of that whatsoever. The deal that we had, the Iran nuclear agreement that Obama started was, one of the best things that Obama did. There was no evidence that, Iran was actually going back on the deal. We went back on the deal when, Donald Trump broke it. It's whatever. Anyway, fight for the First Amendment and against the culture of political correctness. Yes, such a good job in fighting for the First Amendment by saying that people who burn the flag should be put in jail for at least 1 year. President Donald Trump has always said what's on his mind and sees people as individual humans, not as part of a group based on skin color, gender, or background. Sure. Fight terrorism. Donald Trump gave orders that led to the elimination of notorious terrorists Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi and Qasem Soleimani, who were responsible for attacking innocent people over the world. The assassination of Qasem Soleimani was, that was ridiculous. You can't assassinate a foreign general and expect there to just be, that could have started a war with Iran. You fucking idiot. Oh my gosh. Anyway, rebuild U.S. armed forces. President Donald Trump appreciated, supported, and increased resources for military to become an even greater force for good in the world. Yes, more military funding is exactly what we needed. Anyway, support for Israel. Yes, Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East and our close ally. It's also an apartheid state, so not really a democracy. Freedom for me and not for thee is the policy of the policy of Israel. Anyway, Israel is President Donald Trump supported Israel by moving the American embassy to Jerusalem, and before leaving office, completed several revolutionary Middle East peace deals that completely neglected the Palestinians. So, great job there. Restore the sanctity of the U.S. Constitution. President Donald Trump appointed 3 Supreme Court justices, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, who believe in the value of the Constitution, America's most governing document. No, they don't. They're political hack jobs. They're made to do the bidding of the people who got them there. I mean, yeah, sure. Oh, yeah, sure. They believe in the Constitution, and they just, I'm sure it's a complete coincidence that they, recently overturned a ruling that has been precedent for 50 fucking years and got a 7-2 voting by the Supreme Court in 1973. They just cared about the Constitution. No, they're political pawns. That's what they are. The people that Donald Trump appointed. And by the way, fuck the Democrats for actually letting Amy Coney Barrett be appointed to Supreme Court. Mitch McConnell did so much obstruction at the end of President Obama's second term, which while not allowing him to appoint the next Supreme Court justice. Why didn't the Democrats do anything like that in trying to prevent Amy Coney Barrett from literally? Because here's the thing that bothers me so much, which is that what Mitch McConnell did in the last year of what Mitch McConnell did in the last term of President Obama's presidency was he was basically saying that, we need to obstruct the appointment of the next Supreme Court justice because it's Obama's last year in office, so it just wouldn't be fair, and we should wait till the election to determine who gets appointed to the Supreme Court. That was his reasoning. But then when it comes to Donald Trump, when his presidency was there was literally months left until the American people were supposed to vote on whether Donald Trump was to be given a second term. He didn't come out with any argument saying, we should wait until the Supreme Court justice is appointed until, after Donald Trump, to see whether Donald Trump gets reelected, because we want to let the American people decide who gets appointed to the Supreme Court. That went out the window, though, because they only cared about fucking power, and he didn't have any arguments about, we should wait until the results of the election come in, because, it's ridiculous. These people are such frauds. It's ridiculous. They only care about fucking power. It's oh my gosh. Seriously. Donald Trump, if Mitch McConnell were actually being principled, he should not have been able to appoint Amy Coney Barrett, and the Democratic politicians absolutely should have called him that and called him on that and done everything to obstruct the appointment of Amy Coney Barrett. It's ridiculous. And the Supreme Court, honestly, the Supreme Court is so fucking broken, man. It's one of the most undemocratic institutions that we have in this country. Why do we allow presidents to, appoint these people to positions and serve for life? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's just ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Anyway, abolish the Supreme Court, or at the very least, reform it significantly. Honestly, it's ridiculous. But anyway, continuing. What's the difference between legal and illegal immigrants? It's important to note that there is a great difference between illegal and illegal immigrants. Legal immigrants go through a process before government says it is okay to come to America. Unfortunately, some illegal immigrants come into the country without the government's approval. So here's the thing. So Donald Trump and his administration significantly made it much more difficult to come into this country through legal immigration as well. So they cut down on legal immigration and made it much more difficult to do. They did things significantly cut down on the number of refugees who could come to America. you know, and by the way, which is a legal process, not an illegal process. Like refugees and people seeking asylum, they are legal immigrants into, well, maybe not immigrants, but at least legal refugees into the United States. But Donald Trump, his administration made it harder for people to do that. He decreased the amount of people that are able to immigrate into the United States. So, what do you think happens when you make it extremely difficult for people to come into a country legally? There will be more people coming in illegally. Like, in my opinion, the solution to the illegal immigrants crisis is to, first of all, like, stop the drug trade that, creates the conditions in other countries that, leads to violent gang wars, that leads to a lot of people wanting to flee. And secondly, to just make legal immigration a lot easier. And just anyone who wants to come into the United States should be able to do so. So that, decreases illegal immigration far more. I mean, like, just if you want to actually solve the problems, you have to do things that will solve the problems. You can't just say, oh, illegal immigration bad, so we should lock everyone up and build this giant border wall. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, did these new policies help America? Mostly not. But this book will say President Donald Trump's policies had a positive impact on America before the coronavirus pandemic that altered the state of the world. Oh yes, everything that happens everything good that happens in America is due to Donald Trump, but everything bad that happens in America is not due to Donald Trump. It was due to, all his political enemies and people, trying to stop him from creating his grand plan. And here's the thing. Donald Trump handled the coronavirus. You can say that, oh, it wasn't Donald Trump's fault that the coronavirus pandemic happened. No, it wasn't. But he handled it disastrously. He constantly spread so much misinformation and did all these terrible things. He cut funding for the CDC that they were not able to handle the outbreak of the coronavirus initially because he cut fucking funding to the CDC. What? Oh yes, but I guess that's just the CDC is just one of those government programs that's just unnecessary and doesn't help the American people, according to Donald Trump. Anyway, so let's continue with this. 7 million more Americans had full-time jobs 7 million more Americans had full-time jobs before he was elected. That's the most, had full-time jobs before he was elected. That's the most since the year 2000. I mean, wages didn't really increase significantly. And also, the economic upturn that was happening during Donald Trump's presidency was, it began under Obama's presidency and was just continuing on from there until, major economic crises happened during the coronavirus pandemic. Whatever. Who cares about facts? Anyway, the country's economy increased significantly during President Donald Trump's term. The number of illegal immigrants decreased significantly and more American jobs were protected. Wages, which is what people are paid for jobs, increased by 56%. They rose even for people who were paid less. I'm not sure if that's true. I don't think so. I mean, anyway, the number of people that relied on the government for their food decreased by 7 million. Yeah, because you cut government programs to make people less able to get them. So, obviously. Anyway, so the stock market reached record high values since over 55% of all Americans own stocks, which are small pieces of companies. This helped Americans become more wealthy. So the majority of money that's in the stock market benefits the most wealthy Americans. And that 45% of people who don't own stocks, by the way, are the poorest Americans, because again, Donald Trump's administration, it was built on giving the most benefits to the wealthiest Americans and leaving scraps for people who are not that. So, great job, Mr. President. Coronavirus responded to one of the greatest challenges in American history by consistently, spreading misinformation and being completely incompetent and, lying about how bad it was. But anyway, he responded to it very well. Anyway, President Donald Trump led America through one of our greatest challenges. It started when the virus spread in China in late 2019 before growing into a worldwide pandemic. To help stop the spread of the virus, most states enacted restrictive measures like canceling schools and closing restaurants, including Republican states. It happened everywhere, because we didn't know exactly, what to do during the pandemic. Because of these restrictions, many businesses had to be temporarily closed. This caused many people to lose their jobs and the entire economy shrank. In response, President Trump acted quickly, first by stopping travel from infected areas by China, and then by assembling a task force of leading experts to stop the virus and protect the economy by taking the following actions. Signed into law the CARES Act, which provided loans and other financial support to help protect American people and businesses until their economy would be reopened. So, if I recall, the CARES Act, didn't give a bunch of oversight to what the corporations and businesses actually did with the money. So basically, the point was that, they were supposed to be giving money to these businesses so that they wouldn't be forced to lay off a bunch of their workers, which they did anyway. So a bunch of them did anyway. So great job with the CARES Act. Anyway, worked with businesses to make sure that enough food, medicine, and other essential supplies were manufactured during the crisis. Created Operation Warp Speed, which brought together government and private businesses resources to develop an emergency vaccine, which was good. But I mean, it's not so great that, a lot of companies are basically, preventing the vaccine from going out to other areas of the world because of patent protections. A lot of corporate greed there, which is not so great. But again, it's happening under Biden, so I guess. But anyway, push to reduce unnecessary mandates and lockdowns, allowing hurting Americans to go back to work and get the economy moving. Yes, because we care more about the economy than human lives. I mean, yes. I mean, I'm not saying that, we should have kept in, lockdowns forever. Obviously, we should not be in lockdowns anymore because you can't continue doing them forever. But they were a reasonable step to take when the pandemic first started, and we didn't know, how bad it would actually be, and we didn't have the tools to actually treat that kind of thing. And, here's the thing, because, obviously, we shouldn't do the lockdowns, and, we shouldn't do the lockdowns anymore. We should have opened everything up. That was the right thing to do. But, the problem is Donald Trump, kept spreading this misinformation about masks and saying that they, didn't work, when they do, by the way, and wearing masks is a good way to, reduce the spread of the coronavirus without doing shutdowns and lockdowns. And, his base, that sucks his dick, all the time, is, super anti-vax and against the coronavirus vaccine. And it's funny, too, because, Donald Trump's fans and, all the supporters are, really heavily anti-vax, while Donald Trump is not necessarily anti-vax. But, the problem is that he spreads so many conspiracy theories that, it's very easy to see how this coronavirus... he spreads so many conspiracy theories about the coronavirus and about a bunch of other stuff, too. It's very easy to see how Donald Trump supporters could fall down these rabbit holes and support these conspiracies about, anti-vax stuff, even if Donald Trump is not necessarily anti-vax. But it's just funny to me that Donald Trump, it's weird because Donald Trump, constantly panders to the crowd and says all these things that he might not necessarily believe. But I think the reason why Donald Trump still continues to agree with and support the anti-vax crowd is because, Donald Trump, he's so egotistical that he can't not take credit for the Operation Warp Speed and the creation of the vaccines. Again, his entire persona is based off of, himself and his ego. So basically, I mean, I literally, I guarantee you that if it were if Operation Warp Speed happened under, President Biden or a Democratic administration, he would be, super anti-vax all the way. But it's just because he, believes himself responsible for the creation of the coronavirus vaccines that he can never support the anti-vax crowd. It's really funny to me. Anyway, continuing, Donald Trump's diplomatic success. Donald Trump had a lot of diplomatic success. Even though he supported keeping America's military strong, he wanted to create more peace by using diplomatic relations when countries talk to one another about their disagreements. Even people who didn't support President Trump praised his diplomatic accomplishments. Three of those biggest accomplishments were North Korea. After many years of disagreements and threats of war, in 2018, President Trump became the first president to meet with the leader of North Korea. Yeah, after being incredibly aggressive to North Korea, and threatening to invade the country. Yeah, sure, he sat down with the president of North Korea, which was a good thing. We probably shouldn't be super aggressive with North Korea, but Donald Trump was doing that before, which, he was making all these ridiculous threats against the country, which was really risky. So, I mean, I don't know. My throat is getting sore. I should probably wrap this up. I'm like 3/4 of the way done with this book. I guess I should hurry up and try to finish. Anyway, so he met North Korea leader Kim Jong-un in Singapore to agree to negotiate with one another in the future. He met Kim 2 more times, even though North Korea is still a dangerous threat. Donald Trump's work made it easier to negotiate with North Korea in the future and may eventually lead to North Korea no longer threatening America. Israel and the Middle East. In 2018, President Donald Trump moved the American embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, the capital. An embassy is a building in one country where representatives from another live and handle diplomatic relations, even though Jerusalem has always been Israel's capital. The Palestinian Arabs who live in the area have tried to stop other countries from putting embassies there. Yeah, because they live in an apartheid state where they're being oppressed by Israel. So, by moving the embassy there, Donald Trump showed America's support for Israel and support against the Palestinians. So, anyway, the Abraham Accords, the President Donald Trump also helped negotiate a major peace agreement between Israel, the United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain, two Arab countries. This agreement was made by the Abraham Accords because the Jewish people of Israel and Arabs are the descendants of Abraham. This was important because there had been a lot of disagreements between Israel and the Arab countries in the past, and they never had an agreement to negotiate with one another. This agreement made them less likely to go to war with one another in the future. After the Abraham Accords, an agreement was made between Israel and Sudan, another Arab country, again, leaving out the Palestinians entirely, which was a major source of, contention. But anyway, just who cares? Ignore them. Pretend like they don't exist, but whatever. Keep America safe. Oh, jeez. I need to get through this. I'm almost there. My throat is going to give out on me any second, but anyway. The United States Space Force. Donald Trump started the United States Space Force, a new branch of the armed forces that keeps the America safer than it ever was before. Yes. The thing we really needed to do was bring war to space. The last part of the last part where we have been able to go that, doesn't have any war in it, we want to bring war to it. Great job, Mr. President! Very smart plan. Yes, bring war to space. Create a space arms race. Very smart plan! Anyway, it was important to create Space Force because other countries like China were developing new levels of space-based technology and weapons. Yes, so escalate it further. Not try to create peace. Escalate it further. Great plan! Our military already uses space technologies like satellites to communicate and see what other countries are doing. Additionally, all of Americans' cybersecurity requires the protection of American interests in space. Space Force is uniquely designed to oversee and protect it all. Yeah, bringing war to space. Bringing the military to space. Great idea. Not incredibly stupid and incredibly, backwards and escalatory at all. Great job, Mr. President. Fighting terrorism. Under President Donald Trump, the U.S. military was very successful in fighting against ISIS, an Islamic terrorist organization that had taken over parts of Iraq and Syria. Did you know that Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general that was assassinated by President Donald Trump, was also fighting ISIS? Anyway, so just like he promised to put America... By the way, I'm not, totally saying that, Qasem Soleimani was a great guy or anything like that, but, just the fact that he was fighting ISIS and, President Donald Trump, who was also supposedly doing a great job against fighting ISIS, assassinated him. So, anyway, just like he promised to put America first, President Donald Trump thought that the United States shouldn't send soldiers all over the war to keep other countries safe if it didn't help the Americans. But, a ton of troops were still overseas. We're still in, 7 countries. He only withdrew from, I think, 1 country, President Trump did. So it's not like President Biden is actually the person who, talked the talk and brought American troops home from Afghanistan. A lot of disastrous things happened there after the United States has left. But President Biden actually, made good on his promises and withdrew our troops from Afghanistan finally after 20 fucking years, while President Donald Trump didn't, despite saying he would do it, but whatever. Anyway, he brought many soldiers home from countries like Iraq and Afghanistan and supported those countries' own military so they could keep themselves safe. Stopping spying. President Donald Trump wanted to make sure that America didn't use products and technologies from countries that tried to hurt it, so he made sure that the government and military didn't buy technologies from countries like China. The Chinese Communist Party has long been considered a direct threat to democracy, and President Donald Trump wanted to make America less dependent on them. He also wanted to make sure China couldn't use technology from its companies to spy on Americans and our government. Protecting America's border, another way that President Donald Trump wanted to keep America safe, besides keeping our border safe. He made it harder for people to come to America from countries that supported terrorism and worked to build a border wall at the border to stop illegal immigrants from coming to America and Mexico. Yes, he made it harder for people to come to America. He made it more difficult for people to come to America, which leads to more illegal immigration when people are not able to immigrate legally. Like, you realize a lot of the people coming from states that supported terrorism and, had all these bad economic conditions, like, had all these bad administrations and, like, governments. Like, they were the victims of those governments. They were trying to flee to America to get away from the terrible conditions that they were, used to be oppressed by. Like, great job, Mr. President, turning all those terrible people away. Anyway, so he also hired many new members of the U.S. Border Patrol. Anyway, continuing. The Trump presidency... God, like I said, my voice is going to give out of me any second, but continuing, I've got 2 more pages left. Get done with this book. The Trump presidency. To the shock of many people, Donald Trump became the 45th president of the United States. President Trump had an eventful presidency, and many of his policies were successful despite a great number of challenges, including a stream of endless attacks from the Washington, D.C. swamp. Yes, everyone who was against him is just the D.C. swamp. They're just bad people. Like, again, anyone who disagrees with him. Literally anyone. Like, even Fox News, if it gave, like, the tiniest criticism of him, he called it, like, the enemy. Like, it's... Anyway, since leaving office, President Donald Trump continues to lead, and his MAGA movement is stronger than ever. As time goes by, more and more voters want to return our country to the values and strength that help keep America great and to help America inspire and lead the world. Even though he isn't the president anymore, President Donald Trump has said that he has big plans for the future, and his supporters are very excited to find out what those are. So they're just going to completely skip over the fact that Donald Trump instigated a diet coup that tried to overthrow the democracy of the United States of America, that chanted, "Hang Mike Pence," in the crowds, and, like, that they found plans of, like, people trying to kill democratically elected leaders of the United States government. They're just going to completely skip over that. See, I thought when reading this book, because I haven't read it before, this is my first time, but, like, I thought when reading this children's book, it was just going to say and try to lie to kids that, oh, Donald Trump actually won the election of 2020, and he's still the president, and, like, he's been treated very unfairly, and he's still fighting for the American people, even though he was cheated out of his victory. But it doesn't do that. It just, like, it completely skips over what actually happened in the 2020 election, and they'll just say, oh, well, he's not the president anymore. And here's what's so funny to me. This book, like, it's such propaganda that it doesn't even have, like, the ability to say that, oh, Donald Trump lost. Like, it doesn't even say that. It just says he's not the president anymore. Like, it can't even admit that he fucking lost. It's like... well, that's a way to, I guess that's a way, it's really clever, honestly, because it's a way to, like, still save face and say that, oh, well, this book isn't, like, denying that Donald Trump won the election, but it's also, sorry, no, it's not, sorry, I misspoke there. It's not denying that he lost the election, but it's also not saying that he lost either, so it can appeal to the people who have actual brains and understand that he lost, and appeal to, the people who still believe in the election conspiracy, whatever. Anyway, this book is continuing the last page. Keep on learning. With this kid's guide, you've learned so much about President Donald Trump. How he became president of the United States and his first term as president. Now you can keep on learning by logging into members.aspire.com to watch, learn our history's great again, restoring faith in America. Yes, seems like a very good, very strong series that I will be definitely checking out after this is done. In this video lesson, you'll watch a group of time-traveling teens as they learn how Donald Trump impacted faith in America. Donald Trump is like, my God, Donald Trump is not like this super devout Christian. Like, he is Hillary Clinton was way more of a devout Christian than Donald Trump was. But again, all they care about, it's power. It's fucking power. So Donald Trump imposed all these like theocratic measures and supported this like rhetoric of Christian nationalism. So that's why all the like Christian nationalists and evangelicals loved him. Not because he's a devout Christian, which he fucking isn't. But like he's like one of the least Christian people I have ever seen. Like he is completely against like literally in the Bible in the New Testament, Jesus says to like love thy neighbor and treat immigrants and strangers well. Like he literally says that. And Donald Trump is all about like rejecting all these immigrants who come to the United States. Like it's literally doing the exact opposite of what Jesus Christ said. But whatever. Anyway, but yes, he restored faith in the United States of America. He was such a great president for the Christian nationalists. Anyway, in this video lesson, you'll watch a group of wait, I already read this. Anyway, so yeah, that's the end of the book. That's the end of the Kid's Guide to President Donald Trump. It was garbage propaganda as usual. It wasn't like the worst thing I've ever seen, but like it's just like it's so ridiculous that like this is like being sent to kids because like it's what's so ironic to me is that like conservatives like will say all the time that the left wants to indoctrinate your children and get them to believe in like transgender ideology or whatever the fuck, and like it's but like they try to indoctrinate children so hard, conservatives and Republicans do. Like they're saying like can you fucking imagine if like liberals or Democrats did this with like Obama and like they created a Kid's Guide to President Obama. Like the right wing would have a fucking meltdown. They would have a fucking meltdown. It's like, oh, they're trying to indoctrinate their kids with they're trying to indoctrinate their kids to be Democrats and stuff like that. But that's exactly what you're fucking doing with this. What the fuck? It's like literally see this is what we call a pro-Republican move. It's like you act like something is happening, which is the exact opposite of what is actually happening in reality. They do this all the fucking time with like every single issue. Republicans and conservatives do that. It's like ridiculous, and it's like so overall pretty garbage kids book. I mean, it's not like it because I think the point of me doing this video was like I thought it was gonna be like really super funny and like ridiculous, and I was gonna make fun of it, and like it's just like I don't know. It's really just a lot of standard Republican like lies and things that they left out, and like it's kind of just standard Republican propaganda that you would see from like a lot of sources. It wasn't like super hilarious or anything like that. It's just like the real hilarious thing is the fact that this is actually a thing that exists and it's being sent out to people randomly. Like again, we didn't order this in the mail; it just came. Like it's just I don't know. It's ridiculous. But anyway, President Donald Trump, fuck him. He's a terrible person and a terrible president. And I hope he gets arrested. And vote this November because it's very important. I hope you voted for the primaries in back in spring too, because that's arguably equally as important. It's not just blue no matter who, it's blue but it does matter who. So yeah, anyway. So that's the video. Just wanted to go over this weird little creepy children's book of indoctrination and read what was in it, and you know, I don't know, that's it. Just wanted to do that. So this has been the Skeptical Skeptic. Please be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and as always, remember, just because you can't sorry, getting confused with the motto of my other channel, but yeah, like, share, comment, subscribe, and as always, remember, be compassionate, be understanding, but most importantly, never stop questioning. Bye.
Okay, yeah, I saw what I believe is a voter fraud situation.
Okay, please describe it for me.
So I saw a man, he walked into this building, and he was wearing black. He had a black hat, black mask, a striped shirt, and a red tie, and I believe there were hamburgers in his bag, and he was saying "robble, robble" as he was exiting the building, like a burglar. You know, I think he's probably Antifa. Can I speak to Rudy Giuliani?